Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, Land Matters. It matters that it is land, and again, we have land matters that we need to begin to discuss. My name is Abigail Mbagaya Mukolwe. I am a land and land governance expert practicing in Kenya. On this channel of mine today, we want to discuss and answer this question: what is land? What is this thing called land? This thing that everybody is hacking each other for. Watu wanauana, wanachukua machete, wanakatana kwa sababu ya ardhi. So what is this thing called land? Land will include the surface of the earth where we step, the surface above the earth, and the surface beneath the earth. So when you own land, when you see people building storied houses, they're using their land. When you see somebody building into the basement, they are still using part of their land. Land will also include the waterways. So when we say we have land, the rivers, the waterways, the lakes, they make up part of the land of Kenya. The government of Kenya, through the Constitution, would like to ensure that we hold, use, and manage land in an efficient, equitable, productive, and sustainable manner. And they have a good reason. In this country, Kenya, we only have 580,367 square kilometers of land for the 50 million of us and still counting. So you see, there's need for us to see how we can use this land sustainably for prosperity and posterity. Now, in our country, there are three classifications of land. Our Constitution has classified land into three categories. We have public land, we have community land, and then we have private land. I'm going to try and expound on what these pieces of land mean and if you can own or if you cannot own them. So the first one is public land. So what is public land? Public land will include any land that has not been alienated by the government. So any land that has not been given to anybody is government land. Land that is held by a state organ will also be government land. This will include, for example, our military installations, our research centers, our hospitals, our roads. For example, land held by KARI, land held by the military, land held by the port. That is all public land. The state can also buy land and it will become public land. When somebody has a lease and the lease expires and the land reverts back to the government, it also becomes public land. Land also where no heir can be found. There are some places where no heir can be found for any land. Where land belongs to nobody, the land is public land. Another interesting one, minerals, oil is public land. So if you're on your land, we discover oil beneath your land, then oil does not belong to you. Or we discover minerals beneath your land, it doesn't belong to you, that belongs to the public. So what the government will do, they will just move you off the land, but they will mine the minerals that are beneath the land for the benefit of all Kenyans. Our forests are public land. The lakes, the rivers, the seas, those are public lands. So if your land, for example, some of you have land coming from the hill into the valley and across the valley onto the other side of the hill, and there's a river in between. Some of us, we fence even the river. You cannot fence the river. The river is public land. So we are supposed to leave the river to be used by all Kenyans. So you're supposed to make sure you fence your land to allow Kenyans to pass and use the river. Another thing is the roads, the railway lines, you know. Normally you hear people saying, oh, there's a road reserve, a railway reserve. Those are public lands also. Thoroughfares for movement of people. That is public land. You cannot have it. You cannot own it. You cannot privatize it. Land that is also not classified as, is not private or community, land that is not known, the classification is not known, is public land. And this public land is vested in the county or national government. In other words, the national government or the county government will hold this land in trust for all of us for use as public land. And this land cannot be disposed of, neither can it be privatized, because it is for use by all Kenyans. Even the continental shelf, for example, the beaches, the continental shelf, those are private lands. They are available for use by all Kenyans. Now let us talk about community land. So what is community land? Community land is land that is held by a community who are identified based on their ethnicity, their culture, or the common issues that they have, or their common activities or interests. And this land can also be registered to a community, or it may be unregistered. The land is registered to the community, of course, are free to deal in it the best way they know how, governed by the law that has been put in place. We now have the Community Land Act that says how community land can be held, how it will be managed, how it will be run. And where community land is not registered, and a lot of community land in this country is not registered, it is held in trust for the community by the county government and the national government. And again, in this case, you can see, I'm not saying the land belongs to the county government to use the way they want. No, they are holding in trust for the community. So we also have issues like land held and managed by specific communities for grazing, shrines, their forests. Those can also be community land. Then we also have land occupied by hunter-gatherers. That is also community land. And I want to repeat, community land, we have an Act of Parliament, Community Land Act, that has prescribed how community land will be managed. Now, let us look at private land. So what is private land? Private land has been categorized into two categories. We have freehold land and leasehold land. Freehold land is where these people hold an absolute title to the land. They own the land in perpetuity, forever. Then we have leasehold land. These leases have been given to people where people have applied for land from the national government or the county government to lease. So they are given a lease for a certain period of time, and they pay rent for the use of that piece of land. So leaseholds have been classified as private land. This is where somebody holds a lease over either government land for a certain period of time to use for a specific purpose while paying rent to the government or to the lessor, who is the government. Now, in these categories of land, the law has also provided how you can deal in these pieces of land. We will be talking about that. We'll be talking about how can you deal in private land, how can you deal in community land. For example, the other day there was a judgment that came from the Environment and Land Court, which I talked about our courts being very vibrant, and they said that there is a family that went and sold a portion of community land. And the judge says community land is community land. The family had no right to deal in it as if it is their own land. It is not. As opposed to freehold, you can deal in your land in any manner that you like. But again, like I said, even as you own a freehold title or a leasehold title or whatever kind of land you own in this country, the government can regulate how you use it. The government can regulate how you use this land. Because they will let you know in terms of, for example, they regulate this land particularly in the interest of defense, if it's a security issue, a safety issue, a public order, issues of morality, public health, or issues of land use planning. Again, we'll be talking about how we interact with land use planning. It's about the government trying to control how we use this land sustainably for prosperity and posterity. So you may own this land, yes, even a freehold title, but the government will still regulate how you use that land. Now, one thing we need to know, again, that I want to reiterate is that Kenyans, you can own land anywhere in the Republic of Kenya. Just know that when you're going to try and own this land, please follow the law on how you can access this land, on how you can own it. The Constitution guarantees us freedom of movement and residence. Article 39. You can move, go anywhere, you can dwell anywhere, you can live anywhere. But as you try to own this land, please know the category of land you're dealing in, look at what the law provides and follow the law. It will do you a lot of good to follow the law. One last thing I'd like to talk, we'll be talking about how to own land and how you can own these categories of land and which ones are available for you to own and which ones are not. The law says that non-citizens can buy land in Kenya. Kenya allows non-citizens to buy land in Kenya, provided that it is a leasehold of not more than 99 years. They can buy land. Anybody is allowed to buy land. But for foreigners, a leasehold of not more than 99 years. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to me. Please hit the subscribe button so that next time when we give out another video, you'll be able to, you'll be able to keep up on these issues called land. In addition to this, please post your comments, put forward your questions, and we'll try to answer them to the best of our ability as we move forward. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. Next time, we shall talk about how can we own this thing called land? How do we deal in this thing called land? What kind of documents are given for ownership? What do we do to own this land? Thank you, and God bless you.